Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The Chief Marshal, Dean David Mirsky, will now proceed with the commencement exercises.
Bruchim habayim b'shem Hashem. Blessed are those who come in the name of God. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem and join in the singing, which will be led by Cantor Paul Glasser, accompanied by the orchestra. Please remain standing. It is traditional at Yeshiva University commencements that the invocation be given by the parent of a graduating student. This year, Rabbi David Halpern, himself a graduate of the class of 49, and the father of Neil Halpern, a candidate for the degree of Bachelor of Arts magna cum laude from Yeshiva College, will deliver the invocation. Rabbi David Halpern.
The words of Ravavi in the tractate Brachot find their echo in our hearts at this moment. Gedola deya shenitna b'tchilat bracha shel kol. The prayer for knowledge is first among the benedictions. And in truth, the central blessings of the daily Amidah begin, Atah chonein la'adam da'at u'malamed le'enosh bina. Thou favorest man with knowledge, and teachest mortals understanding. Our first words of praise to thee at this moment, O God, are in gratitude for thy gracious gift of da'at, of knowledge, and bina, understanding. Yeshiva University has been the source of education, scholarship, and wisdom for the graduates ranged before thee, about to receive formal recognition for the years of study. These students have sat at the feet of renowned scholars, dedicated teachers all, and were nourished by them. But Yeshiva is much more than a place of secular learning, much more than a fount of science, mathematics, philosophy, the arts. Today is a Yom Tov of sorts, a festive and joyous day. And at the conclusion of the Sabbath and holy days, that same first prayer of the Amidah includes the following phrase, Atah chonantanu lemada Toratecha. Thou hast favored us with a knowledge of thy Torah. Yeshiva is first and foremost a Makom Torah, where the eternal truths and ideals of Torah are taught by Rosh Yeshiva Gedolei Torah, Torah scholars, who not only interpret and impart the values and norms of our people, but serve as role models of ethical life and profound commitment to fellow Jew and fellow man. This was the vision of its first presidents, Dr. Bernard Revel and Dr. Samuel Belkin, Zichronom Livracha, of blessed memory, and it remains the ideal of its new president, Dr. Norman Lamb, Yivodel L'chaim. It is the institution where the essence of Torah and its standards permeate every school of the university, every undergraduate and graduate student, from the candidate for the baccalaureate to those who will receive their master's and doctoral degrees. Each one, in his time at yeshiva, has experienced Torah as an ethical and moral force, shaping his thinking and his personality. We ask thy blessing, O God, upon all who are here assembled, officers, faculty, graduates, parents, and guests. Avinu Malkeinu, our Father and King, Hachel Aleinu Hayamim Habaim Likratenu L'Shalom. Grant that the approaching days will herald an era of peace and tranquility for Israel and for the world, that it be a world in which our graduates will make their significant contribution to the betterment of mankind. Amen.
Please be seated. Mr. President, I am happy to inform you that the 46th annual exercises of Yeshiva University are now in session. Would you please join me at the lectern? The candidates for degrees will rise as the deans and directors present the various schools, and all will remain standing until the president has conferred the degrees upon them. The graduates of each school will be represented by a member of the class who will receive a symbolic diploma on their behalf. All undergraduate degrees will be conferred by the president with one proclamation. Degrees in course. The undergraduate schools. The James Stryer School of General Jewish Studies. Candidates will be presented by Rabbi Morris J. Besdin, Director. Will the candidates please rise?
Mr. President, I have the honor of informing you that 26 students have completed the required course of study for the Associate in Arts degree at the James Stryer School. These students, who have taken a comprehensive program of basic Jewish studies, have earned the approbation of the faculty, and I respectfully request that this degree be awarded to them. I am pleased to call on Mr. Harry Rubal to represent the class.
Teachers Institute for Women. Candidates will be presented by Rabbi Baruch Fairelson, Director.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you 21 students who have completed the required course of study for the Hebrew Teacher's Diploma, and 13 who have completed the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Education. I respectfully request that this diploma be awarded to them and that this degree be conferred upon them. I am pleased to call on Ms. Julia Ganuth to represent the class.
Erna Michael College of Hebraic Studies. Candidates will be presented by Dean Jacob M. Rabinowitz.
Mr. President, 21 students have completed the requirements for the Hebraic Studies diploma. 7 have completed the requirements for a Hebrew Teacher's diploma. 3 have earned the degree of Bachelor of Science, and 6 the degree of Bachelor of Arts. Mr. President, the faculty of Erna Michael College has asked me to request that you award these diplomas and confer these degrees. I am pleased to call upon Mr. Benjamin Goldstein to represent the class.
Stern College for Women. Candidates will be presented by Dr. Adelaide Jablonsky, Acting Associate Dean.
Mr. President, I am pleased to present to you 90 young women who have successfully completed the curriculum for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, 17 who have completed a course of study leading to a Jewish Studies certificate, and 1 who has earned a Hebrew Teacher's diploma. On behalf of the faculty of Stern College, I respectfully request that you award these degrees and diplomas, and I am pleased to call on Ms. Gail Zaret to represent the class.
Yeshiva College. Dean Isaac Bacon will present the candidates.
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you 188 students who have completed the required course of study for the degree of Bachelor of Arts at Yeshiva College. They have earned the approbation of the faculty, and I respectfully request that this degree be conferred upon them. I am pleased to call on Mr. Richard Elkman, the past president of the Yeshiva College Student Council, to represent the class.
You have successfully completed the requirements for diplomas and degrees as prescribed by the faculties of the undergraduate schools of Yeshiva University. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of Yeshiva University, I hereby award you your diplomas and confer upon you the respective degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. As a token of this award, each dean and director will hand a diploma to the class representative.
The tassel ceremony. Custom dictates that only holders of academic degrees shall wear their tassel on the left side of the academic cap. Undergraduates receiving a bachelor's degree for the first time will now move the tassels on their caps from right to left. Please be seated. The graduate schools. Wurzweiler School of Social Work candidates will be presented by Dean Lloyd Setleis. Will the candidates at the school please rise?
Mr. President, I have the honor to present to you 102 students who have completed the requisite course of study for the degree of Master of Social Work at Wurzweiler School of Social Work, and 1 for the degree of Doctor of Social Welfare. They have earned the approbation of the faculty. I respectfully request that these degrees be conferred upon them. I am pleased to call on Mr. Seward Tower to represent the class.
Belfer Graduate School of Science. Candidates will be presented by Dean Arthur B. Comar.
Mr. President, I am happy to present to you 15 candidates for the degree of Master of Arts and 10 candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. The faculty of the Belfer Graduate School of Science respectfully requests that you confer these degrees upon the candidates. I am pleased to call on Miss Marion Ben-Jacobs to represent the class.
Ferkauf Graduate School of Humanities and Social Sciences. Candidates will be presented by Dean Joseph B. Gitler.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting to you a group of students from the Ferkauf Graduate School who are candidates for the following degrees: 100 for the Master of Science degree, 10 for the Master of Arts degree, 12 for the Specialist certificate, 8 for the Doctor of Education degree, and 27 for the Doctor of Philosophy degree. These candidates have completed all degree requirements and have been approved for the degrees by the faculty and the appropriate administrative officers of the Ferkauf Graduate School. In view of these facts, I respectfully request that you confer these degrees upon them. I am pleased to call on Mr. Moses Fuchs to represent the class.
Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Dean Ephraim Friedman.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that 180 students have completed the required course of study for the degree of Doctor of Medicine at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and 15 have completed their studies leading to the Doctor of Philosophy degree at Sue Golding Graduate Division of Medical Sciences. The degrees were awarded at separate commencement exercises held on June the 2nd. Several representatives of the classes are present here. I respectfully request that on this occasion you confirm the action taken then.
Bernard Revel Graduate School and Harry Fischel School for Higher Jewish Studies. The candidates will be presented by Dean Chaim Soloveitchik.
Mr. President, I am pleased to present one candidate for the degree of Master of Science at Harry Fischel School for Higher Jewish Studies. At Bernard Revel Graduate School, I have the honor of presenting 26 candidates for the degree of Master of Science. For the degree of Master of Art, I present 17 candidates who have completed their course of study and have written master's projects. 5 students have completed their requirements for the Doctor of Philosophy degree and have successfully defended their dissertations. Mr. President, I respectfully request that these degrees be conferred. I am pleased to call on Mr. Morris Yeris to represent the class.
You have successfully completed the requirements for degrees as prescribed by the faculties of the graduate schools of Yeshiva University. By virtue of the authority vested in me as president of Yeshiva University, I hereby confer upon you the respective degrees with all the rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. As a token of this award, each dean will hand a diploma to the class representative.
The hooding ceremony. It is traditional for the achievement of the holders of advanced academic degrees to be symbolized by the hood they wear as part of their academic garb. Will each degree recipient now place over his or her shoulders the hood representing the graduate degree just awarded? Will the graduates please be seated? I am now happy to present to you Dr. Israel Miller, Vice President for Student Affairs.
At this time, it is customary to announce the changes which have taken place in the university family. Since time does not allow us to announce each change individually, we offer the following. To all of the newcomers, we extend hearty greetings. We trust that this marks the beginning of a long and happy association with Yeshiva University, productive, satisfying, and fulfilling in every way. To those retiring or assuming different responsibilities, please accept our best wishes for continued strength of heart and mind to carry on your lifelong dedication to your chosen field, to higher education, and to the university. We note with sadness the passing of the following members of the Yeshiva University family. Mr. Harry Etra, past member of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine Council of Governors and Hospital Board, beloved brother of Board Chairman Max J. Etra, and husband of Mrs. Blanche Etra, member of the Cardozo Law School Board. Mr. William Feinberg, member of the Board of Trustees since 1937, and an honorary trustee since 1959. Judge Harry E. Kolodner, trustee since 1947. Dr. Abraham Tauber, chairman of the Department of Speech and Drama of Yeshiva College, and longtime marshal at these commencement exercises. Their memories and achievements will long be remembered, not only by those who worked with them, but by all of us who knew of their accomplishments. Zichronam livracha. On a happier note, we are pleased to acknowledge the following alumni anniversary being marked today. The class of 1952 of Yeshiva College, marking its 25th anniversary. We ask the representatives of this class to rise with the alumni leaders present to note the occasion. Last but not least, let us take a moment to pay special tribute to you parents who made all of this possible. I ask for a round of applause for you. Thank you.
The Mordecai Ben David Award will now be presented. The presentation made to Mr. Stanley Abramovich by Dr. Leo Young, Professor Emeritus of Ethics and Chairman of the Mordecai Ben David Award Committee.
His Excellency, His Excellency Enrico Garda, Italy's late ambassador to San Marino, a benefactor of Yeshiva University, and a great admirer of the United States. In the 30s and 40s of this century, saw the misery of our folk all over Europe. Persecuted, defamed, despised, robbed, and raped, with some of the most boastful democracies heartlessly ignoring Thou shalt not stand idle by the blood of thy fellow man. Yearning for a better future for Israel, the Lord's ambassador to the cynical old world, Ambassador Gada, established the annual Mordecai Ben-David Award in its Hebrew name. It was meant to recognize devoted service of a graduate of Yeshiva University or any other Jew who promoted courage, self-respect, and American patriotism among our people. Stanley Abramowitz, since 1945, has dedicated himself to that task. The displaced persons, victims of Hitler's gang, bless him for his wise, devoted service. In 3 continents, his compassionate ingenuity achieved priceless harvests and spelled his career as educator, organizer, and rebuilder of destroyed schools, broken families, and communities. His literary work, his utter dedication, aided, guided, and inspired equally North African and Iranian Jewry, even as our folk all over Europe. The American Joint Distribution Committee for decades has considered him one of its noblest staff members. Enrico Gada would have embraced him in loving admiration. It is a profound privilege, my dear friend, to hand you this token of the abiding gratitude with warmest wishes for many years of fine health and serenity with your gracious wife in continued blissful work for our people all over the world.
Conferring of honorary degrees. Will Dr. Saul Roth please come forward?
Mr. President, more than a quarter of a century ago, a young man of great promise was graduated from our college. He studied in our kollel and received smicha from your sainted predecessor, Dr. Belkin, Zichrono Livracha. He now stands at your side as one of our most cherished colleagues, a gifted rabbi and a rabbinic leader, a visiting assistant professor of philosophy at our university. Ushmo Shaul, Mishichmo Vamala, Kavoha Mikol Ha'am, who spiritually towers above the people, yet who walks humbly with them. I am pleased to present Dr. Saul Roth, sir, for the degree of Doctor of Divinity, honoris causa.
As a teacher and rabbi, you have dedicated your life to the preservation and advancement of our sacred heritage. You are admired by your students as a gifted teacher of philosophy, by your congregants as an ideal spiritual leader, and by your colleagues as an inspired scholar and dear friend. In your life, commitment and noble deeds are interrelated. Your service as Vice President of the Rabbinical Council of America and as President of the New York Board of Rabbis your work with our armed forces, and your many years of loyalty and service to your alma mater. All these are noteworthy achievements requiring infinite patience and wisdom and deserving of recognition by a grateful community. We will not allow technology to interfere with scholarly honors. We express to you, a distinguished musmach of the Rabbi Isaac Elchanan Theological Seminary, our admiration for your constructive leadership in the rabbinate and the community. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Divinity honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
Will Dr. Alvin I. Schiff please step forward?
Mr. President, many of us look forward to receiving the communications issued by the influential Board of Jewish Education of Greater New York, bearing the Hebrew initials of its dynamic, learned, and resourceful Executive Vice President, the initials Aleph Yud Shin. He is indeed a wise-hearted man, an Ish Chacham Lev, in whom Hashem has placed Chachma Utvuna, wisdom and understanding, to perform and achieve in his Avodat HaKodesh, in his sacred tasks in our city, our country, in Israel, throughout the world. I am happy to present Dr. Alvin Schiff, sir, a yeshiva man of distinction, for the degree of Doctor of Pedagogy, honoris causa.
Few have been blessed with gifts as you, and fewer yet have utilized such native endowments for the betterment of education in our nation. As a distinguished alumnus, inspired educator, and talented administrator, you have intellectually enriched and morally elevated all who have had the privilege to come under your influence. In all the academic and communal posts which you have held during your life, you have conducted the affairs of your office with skill and integrity. You have served your alma mater well and loyally. As Executive Vice President of the Board of Jewish Education of Greater New York for the past 7 years, your leadership in the unending campaign to provide our youth with Jewish education has been outstanding. The blank slate in the mind of the Jewish child has proven an irresistible temptation to you. You have dedicated your life to filling that slate not with trivia or pious inanities or any other of the educational graffiti of the times. Instead, you have endeavored to write upon it the indelible message of Torah, the ageless teachings of faith and morality and compassion and commitment to God and to Israel, and you have done so with grace and with persistence. It is my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Pedagogy honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma.
I am happy to invite Dr. Rosalyn, Sussman, Yalow to step forward.
Mr. President, Yeshiva has honored many world-renowned scientists and Nobel laureates, from Einstein and Rabi to Sabin and Salk. This morning we pay well-deserved tribute to another internationally acclaimed pioneer research physicist and teacher who faithfully follows their commitment to science and our commitment to the faith of our fathers. The prestigious Lasker Award presented to our honoree was followed at the Veterans Hospital by a kosher luncheon which she personally prepared. The program of the induction of Dr. Rubal, Zichrono Livracha, as Rosh Yeshiva on December 12, 1915, lists a Rabbi Yalow, father-in-law of our honoree, as a student of Yeshiva. I am honored and personally delighted to add another link to the chain of association by presenting to you my friend, my former congregant, Dr. Rosalyn Yalow, for the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
Not yet. We can give it a degree.
A little early.
Yours is a life rich with scientific and educational achievements. Acclaimed by your colleagues and beloved by your students, as a brilliant nuclear physicist, you have gained an enviable reputation in your chosen field. Yet, despite this eminent success, you chose to pursue another area of research, nuclear medicine. For your distinguished work in radio immunoassay, you received the 1976 Albert Lasker Basic Medical Research Award, the first woman to do so. In all your pursuits, as an educator, researcher, scientist, a loving wife and mother and daughter, who has striven to uphold our sacred Jewish heritage, your concern with humanity is perhaps your greatest achievement. It is your work which, we hope, will contribute to the elimination of the scourges of cancer and other disease in our lifetime. As an expression of our appreciation for your meritorious contributions, I consider it a privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma. I only got it legally. Congratulations. We're giving you a standing ovation, no matter what you do. Go right to your bill. Congratulations.
It is now my pleasure to call forward Dr. Henry Rosovsky.
Mr. President, a superb academician who is responsible for the instruction of more than 8,600 undergraduate and graduate students, and who heads a staff of more than 2,000, including more than 400 professors, at one of the world's greatest universities, is deserving of our acclaim. A wise and talented administrator who is responsible for a score of laboratories, libraries, museums, forests, arboretums, observatories, research institutes, and scholarly centers in our country and abroad, certainly merits our honor. A gifted teacher, author, and editor whose contributions to scholarship and thought have enriched countless students and the field of economic history, undoubtedly is worthy of our academic regard. When one adds to these achievements a humane and sensitive scholar whose mind has investigated the Far East, but whose heart and soul have found a field of endeavor in a place dear to us in the Middle East, it is particularly appropriate that Yeshiva extend that acclaim, that honor, that regard, that recognition. therefore have the privilege, sir, of presenting the talented bearer and possessor of all of these titles, Dean Henry Rosovsky, for the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
As a brilliant educator and economic historian, you have earned the acclamations of your peers in the academic world and in government. Your supreme ability to inform and guide students in the complexities of world economics is even more crucial now, when economic variables plague both the average citizen and the federal policymaker. For this, and for your expertise in Japanese and East Asian economy, your services are valued by student and government official alike. You are a scintillating master of a dismal science. You currently hold the dual distinction of serving both as Walter S. Barker Professor of Economics and as Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences at Harvard University. As Dean, you have had singular influence over educational philosophy and practice throughout the country. Your championship of wholeness and wholesomeness in higher education has given courage to educators everywhere. Your achievements encompass many areas: teacher, author, administrator, and economist. But above all, it is your great humanitarianism which we wish to honor here today. It is therefore my privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. In token thereof, I cause to be placed over your shoulders the visible symbol of our high regard for you, and I hand you this diploma. Congratulations.
I am now privileged to invite to this rostrum Dr. Rosovsky, who will address the Yeshiva University class of 1977. Dr. Rosovsky.
Mr. President, members of the faculty, members of the governing boards, my fellow graduates, and ladies and gentlemen. This is a time for celebration for students, parents, teachers, and friends, and I would like my intrusion into this moment to be minimal. Most commencement speakers accomplish this purpose in one of two ways: either by concentrating on the state of the world. That canvas is of too awesome dimension to intrude on anybody, or by giving advice to the young, and that is always very easy to ignore. Unfortunately for me, and perhaps for you, one should know what one is talking about, and therefore, I hope not too inappropriately, I want to say a few words about education, scholarship, and universities. We are living through a great crisis in higher education. It is of nearly worldwide dimensions, and certainly in our country, the most serious situation in, I would say, 100 years. I certainly do not wish the airline industry ill, but it would be nice if they had some economic crisis today. In part, the problem is economic. For private universities, inflation is eroding endowments, and tuition is climbing to levels that affect adversely all but the rich. In the case of public universities, the tax base has been eroded, and many other needs seem to be accorded much higher priority. Furthermore, we are suffering from high unemployment, especially for young scholars in the areas of the arts and sciences. Some of my fellow economists have suggested that college, in effect all of higher education, may no longer be a good investment. While the economic crisis is undoubtedly serious, I have always felt that the philosophical and spiritual crisis of higher education is far more threatening. One problem, undoubtedly, is the current mood of our society that seems to have adopted the national slogan of nothing sacred. Another problem, I think, is the lack of direction that characterizes much of higher education today, so that in many institutions, certainly not in Yeshiva University, but in many institutions, the transcripts of graduating seniors look to me like the table of contents of Psychology Today magazine. Our lack of coherence and purpose has stimulated a very dangerous attack on the idea of liberal education in our country. That attack goes something like this. The American college is an anachronism. 4 years of non-professional education is too expensive and too time-consuming. It is an extravagant system that we can no longer afford. Let the high schools, say the critics, do the job if they can. Now, it seems to me that American colleges and universities are unique, but there is nothing anachronistic about them. They reflect instead certain fundamental peculiarities of our history and circumstances. They are perhaps expensive, though until now they have not been expensive in the sense that only the rich could avail themselves of the opportunities of going to college. In the United States, colleges are a transition designed to accomplish a variety of quite distinct purposes. To have you who graduate with bachelor's degrees today to emerge as educated men or women, and this refers to general liberal education. To choose a calling, hopefully for a productive life, and sometimes to be certified for employment. College in the United States is emphatically not a class phenomenon. Indeed, because of the great varieties in our country, it is a unique opportunity for evening out regional disadvantages, for providing opportunities of social mobility, and for creating, perhaps for the last time in young people's lives, a common threshold of opportunity. In our society, there is no other institution that I know of that can do as well. Let us remember today that in most other societies, higher education is still a class, no matter whether that class structure be socialist or capitalist. Most countries are smaller and far more centralized than ours, so that secondary and higher education can be quite closely articulated. For us, this is both quite difficult and possibly undesirable on a national level. A de-emphasis on college, the belief that somehow it was no longer a good investment, would, I believe, make us less diverse and less democratic. Is college worth it? That question cannot be answered, I believe, by cost-benefit analysis or by measuring the present value of a future income stream, as my colleagues are tempted to do. The analysis has to be far more fundamental. Recently, I attempted to define in the simplest possible manner what we should mean by an educated man or woman. Let me just very briefly review what seems to me to be a rather common sense definition, and I think it can place the value of a college education in perspective. I said that an educated person must be able to think and write clearly and effectively. It is surprising how many people in our society cannot do this. I also said that an educated person should have a critical appreciation of the ways in which we gain knowledge and understanding of the universe, of society, and of ourselves. This implies an informed acquaintance, not a deep professional acquaintance, but an informed acquaintance with the mathematical and experimental methods in the sciences, with the historical and quantitative techniques of the social sciences, and in the case of the humanities, an informed acquaintance with some of the important scholarly, literary, and artistic achievements of the past, and with the major religious and philosophical conceptions of man. I think that we can also expect an educated American in the last third of this century not to be provincial. The experience of one's life must today be viewed in the context of other cultures and other times, and that is the other hallmark of an educated person. It also seems to me that an educated person must have some understanding of moral and ethical problems. It may well be that the most significant quality of educated persons is the informed judgment which enables them to make discriminating moral choices. I think we also have the right to expect an educated individual to have good manners and high aesthetic and moral standards. By that, I do not mean that you should necessarily know which fork to pick up at a dinner, although that's not a bad thing to know. But I really mean the capacity of an educated person to reject shoddiness in all of the many forms that surround us in our daily life. Finally, I think an educated individual should have achieved depth in some field of knowledge. There is something that you should know at a deeper scientific professional level. Now, it's perfectly true that for most of us, to achieve these standards is a task of a lifetime. And this is as it should be, because formal education is merely an hors d'oeuvre or a Vorspeise to continued and lifelong study. But if the graduates of this distinguished university have started the process here, as I believe you have, then it will have been the best possible investment anyone could make, that you could make for yourselves or that your parents could make on your behalf. And since this is Yeshiva University, I have no doubt that that is in fact the process that has taken place, and that you have all made an excellent investment not only in economic terms, but far more important in the spiritual area. Let me conclude by offering all of the graduates my very warmest congratulations. Thank you very much.
It is now my pleasure to invite to the rostrum Dr. Norman Lamb, President of Yeshiva University.
Just 28 years ago this week, I received my Bachelor of Arts degree from Yeshiva College, and at that occasion delivered the valedictory address. This past week I took the trouble to look back over it, and I found that it is not much to my taste stylistically. I think the young men and women who spoke last night did much better. I was too solemn a young man. You agree so readily. I was too solemn a young man and took both the world and myself all too seriously. Yet, as I consider the content of my talk of almost 3 decades ago, I discover that the basic contours of my ideas have not changed very much at all. Of course, it may be because I haven't grown much in 28 years. But whatever the reason may be, I still subscribe to those ideals. The need for devoted scholarship in all areas, uncompromising commitments to Torah and Am Yisrael, a sense of mission towards all of humanity, and specifically for Yeshiva University graduates, the effort to achieve a harmonious integration of Torah U'Madah, of sacred and secular learning, as a lifelong enterprise worthy of our finest intellectual efforts. These ideas are, after all, the guiding principles of Yeshiva University. I know that many of you can articulate them better than I did then, and I hope that all of you will achieve them better than I have now. May these ideals continue to inspire you throughout the years, so that your creative contributions will be a source of pride to your alma mater, to your parents and teachers, spouses and children as well. And may you always consider Yeshiva University as your home. לא ארשה לעצמי לגמור מבלי לסיים מכמה מילים בעברית. אף על פי שהטקס האקדמי הנה הוא חילוני במוצאו, לפחות בלתי יהודי, לא ייתכן שבמוסד שלנו לא תרחף עליו רוח של יהדות של תורה. לא רק מפני שלמדתם כאן הרבה שנים תורה ומצוות, אהבת ישראל ואהבת ארץ ישראל ומדינת ישראל, אלא שגם לימודי החול שעמלתם בהם כאן, קידשתם אותם על ידי לימוד התורה, על ידי גישתכם הסגולית, גישת היהדות הנאמנה, ברוחם של הרב רבל ז"ל, של מורי ורבי הרב דוקטור בלקן ז"ל, ושל הרב קוק ז"ל, שכתב שקודש הקדשים בנוי על יסוד הקודש ויסוד החול. ובכן, אני מאחל לכם ברכותיי ואיחוליי הלבביים למזל טוב ולהצלחה בכל מעשי ידיכם ובכל אשר תלכון.
To continue the tradition with which we opened these commencement exercises, it is now my privilege to call for the benediction, which will be delivered by Rabbi Jerome Blass, the father of Robert Blass, who has just received a Bachelor of Arts degree cum laude from Yeshiva College. Rabbi Jerome Blass received his degree from Yeshiva College with a class of 44. Will the audience please rise? Rabbi Blass.
Tov lahodot l'Hashem u'lezamer l'shimcha elyon. It is good to give thanks unto the Lord, to sing praises to thy name, O Most High. As we bring these commencement exercises to a close, we give thanks unto thee for having enabled the parents, the families, and the graduates to reach this joyous and significant milestone. We thank thee, O God, and we ask thy blessing upon this illustrious school of learning, its dedicated leadership, and its devoted faculty, a school that has not only trained and sent forth men and women to take their places in the academic and professional world, but has also sought to implant within them a spiritual and moral concept of life based upon Torah and the traditions of Israel. As these graduates go forth to embark upon their careers or to pursue further training and higher degrees, we pray thee be with them and crown their efforts with success. Graciously pour out thy Spirit upon them, the spirit of humility and modesty, the spirit of reverence and faith. Wherever they may be and whatever they may do, help them at all times to personify with pride the distinctive way of life, the unique attitude toward life, and the genuine concern for all life that will permanently and indelibly mark them as a product of Yeshiva. May they find success in all their endeavors, contentment and happiness in their lives, and may they in turn give rise to a generation of Torah true Jews who who will shed even greater luster upon their alma mater and their people, so that all who behold them will say, Haim Zerah Berach Hashem. They are indeed children whom the Lord hath blessed. Amen.
Please remain standing for the singing of the Hatikvah, which will be led by Cantor Glasser. Please join in the singing. Mr. President, these commencement exercises are now concluded. Will the marshals and student representatives now rejoin their groups for the recessional?
We request that the audience please remain seated for the recessional. Please remain at your seats while the participants leave the commencement area. Vice Chairman of the Board of Trustees, board members and honorary degree recipients are now leaving the commencement area. Members of the administration and faculty are now leaving the commencement area. Ladies and gentlemen, once again we ask you to remain at your seats as the graduates leave. The class of 1977 is now leaving the commencement area. Ladies and gentlemen, we extend to all of you our heartiest congratulations and best wishes of Mazal Tov, and we thank you very, very much for coming.